It's 1939, Texas. Bernard, 13, stands out of the bank to clean others' shoes. While cleaning, he listens to their conversation silently and secretly writes down some key figures in his notebook. Sometimes he even climbs beside the bank to eavesdrop on bankers' conversations. But all this is always driven away by the security. Bernard is puzzled. He asks his father why he can't make money and do business normally. The father looks at his note, pleased and helpless. Bernard is very talented, but this is Texas. However, Bernard doesn't take this. He can't make money normally in Texas, then he goes to other places. It's 1965, Bernard is 28 years old. He comes to Los Angeles with his wife and children. He wants to use the money he has saved from running his own company to do real estate business here, but his uncle-in-law laughs at him.
You mad a millionaire Eunice?
Although he is ridiculed, he still sticks to his thought, and his wife believes in him. The next day, Bernard takes his cousin to work and meets a friend, then they hang around to look for houses for sale. Finally, Bernard chooses a house in which white people lived. He can afford this house but leaves less money for decoration. His wife suggests him to find a partner. Then she takes Bernard to visit her former boss, Joe. Joe is very rich. He owns 17 houses and a club. However, Joe's bad attitude lets Bernard down. Without telling his thoughts, Bernard takes his wife away with a bad mood. Bernard takes Joe as a scum. He will never cooperate with guys like Joe. So he turns to the landlord, Bark. Current price of the house is $40,000. Bernard asks Bark if he can use $30,000 to buy this house and the left will be paid in the next 4 months. In that case, he can afford the decoration and attract others to live. He has observed before. There are many people like Bernard with high income in these blocks. They can't wait to live in a clean house like this. But it seems that nobody cares about this market. This is a great chance. Bark agrees with Bernard. But this kind of operation is not his business style. So Bark refuses. While Bernard is about to leave, he sees a bank calendar behind Bark. A new idea occurs to him that he can directly visit the credit manager and ask the bank to loan him money. Bernard goes to the bank to apply for a loan for buying the house. When he enters the bank, people get shocked. They see Bernard in a nice suit and think it's impossible. The receptionist lies to Bernard that the manager is out. Bernard doesn't buy it. He keeps waiting until the bank closes and the manager comes out. He introduces his thought to the manager. At night, Bark calls and questions if Bernard uses his name to apply for a loan.
Hello?
Mr. Garrett, this is Patrick Barker.
Did you use my name to try and get a loan from Mr. Reed at Mid-City Bank?
Well, in a manner of speaking, yes.
And do you think that follows normal business customs?
If I was following normal business customs, I'd still be a shoeshine boy in Texas, sir.
I didn't ask for your biography, Mr. Garrett. I asked if you thought it followed normal business customs.
No.
Good. Well, at least we can agree on that.
It is this abnormal operation that wins Bark's agreement. He also thinks that those business customs is to restrict normal people. Bark appreciates Bernard's confidence. With Bark's warrant, Bernard gets his loan successfully and officially begins building his housing empire. He asks his cousin to decorate the house. While decorating, a tenant passes by.
And you can tell that Mick that owns this place when he goes jacking the rent. He ain't jacking mine.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Barker was very clear about your lease when he sold me the building.
Don't you sass me, boy. This is a white building. You can't own this place.
The old lady feels insulted to live in Bernard's house, so she moves to another place. Soon Bernard rents out all the rooms of the house earlier than expected. Bark appreciates his business feeling and invites him to cooperate again. They negotiate with house owners and rent out rooms by phone. Bark comes out to sign up. Bernard gets half the money they earn. Their business goes bigger. Bernard even buys himself a villa. Everything is getting better, but an accident comes. His partner, Bark, passes away. Bark's wife is unwilling to cooperate with Bernard and she even wants to buy all the shares from Bernard at the original price. If Bernard refuses, then she will sue him. The name on the contract is her husband anyway. The lawyer suggests Bernard to ask the credit manager to testify, but as soon as Bark passed away, the manager no longer admits Bernard. It's unnecessary for him to offend white people because of Bernard. Bernard feels helpless, but he doesn't give up. He's got a new idea. He plans to buy the tallest building in LA and make the bank his tenant. Bernard finds Joe and persuades him to cooperate. Joe is moved by Bernard. So Bernard and Joe find Matt, a friend of Bernard's cousin. With Matt to be the speaker, Bernard and Joe can operate behind the scenes. However, Matt is not really like a businessman. So Joe teaches him knowledge of golf, wine, and social manner, while Bernard teaches him financial knowledge. With the help of training in Joe's relationship, Matt gets the chance to negotiate with the building owner. At first, the owner offers a price at $2.4 million. But Matt uses his knowledge learned by rote to lower the price to $1.56 million. Bernard and Joe eventually get the bank building and get more loans from the bank. After that, almost all the houses for sale are bought by Bernard for rent, and he becomes a low-key property tycoon. It's 1963. Bernard comes back to Texas to visit his family. His father is very proud of his success, but Texas is still Texas. Bernard and his son walk along the street and see different water coolers for white people and others. There is also a boy cleaning shoes for others. He asks the boy how much one time, but the boy says he only does business with white people. Bernard looks up to see the bank and sinks to the deep thought. He gets back to LA and discusses with Joe to purchase the bank in Texas. In that case, the business will go bigger and help more people to get loans and start a business. Joe thinks it's not a good idea. It's of great risk because it's not a business move but a social movement to fight against the Texas system. They are gonna to lose. Bernard sticks to his idea. He will find other partners if Joe doesn't agree with him. Although Joe also thinks it's a bad idea, he still supports Bernard. Then Bernard and Joe purchase the bank by the name of Matt and widen the restriction of loans so that Bernard's people can get loans more easily. Unfortunately, the son of the bank's former CEO finds that Bernard and Joe are the real owner of the bank, so he feels humiliating and reports it to the Securities and Exchange Commission. After learning that the Securities and Exchange Commission will come to check the accounts in a month, Matt suggests them to purchase another bank and transfer the loans to the new bank. Under the threat of Matt's quitting, Bernard purchases another bank and let Matt manage it. It turns out that Matt also wants to be a boss of a bank. Soon, the officers come to investigate. As Bernard and Joe can't enter the bank causally, they pretend the driver and cleaner to remind Matt to handle the situation. However, the officers still find problems. It turns out that Matt used to hire a lawyer recommended by the former CEO's son and make a $300,000 bad loan. And this is a fraud in law. All these are designed by the former CEO's son. His intention is to squeeze Bernard and Joe out. Later, officers shut down their banks and Bernard and Joe are arrested by the FBI. Matt can't bear the pressure of the government and admits that the falsification of bank loan valuation and illegal transfer of loans between the two banks are under the instigation of Bernard and Joe. At the hearing,
Our nation's founding documents declare that all men are created equal, and endeavor to create a society where citizens receive the equal protection of our laws. It's a noble goal, but we all know, for many citizens, it's a lie. This hearing is supposed to be about uncovering and reforming unsafe banking practices. But I think it's really about how on earth did two black men pull off owning a bank in Texas?
Mr. Garrett, I think you should tread carefully now.
I can talk at length about that. Or I can sum it up with this. The dress code.
Mr. Garrett, you are out of order, sir.
I'm not finished.
Out of order.
If you can't get a loan, you can't own a home. You can't start a business.
Mr. Garrett, you have been warned.
Which means you can't build wealth.
Mr. Garrett!
And you're excluded from the American dream.
Sergeant at Arms, remove the witness.
Why is it so important to you to exclude an entire race of people from the American dream?
in the end, all industries of Bernard and Joe are confiscated by the government, and they are sentenced to 3 years imprisonment for the crime of abusing bank funds. 3 years later, when they get out of the jail, they keep laughing and talking. It turns out that before going to court, Matt called Bernard and told him about the pressure he faced. If he does not follow the government's instructions, they can make him in prison for 50 years. Bernard did not complain, but let Matt buy 2 properties in Bahamas in his name. After he rebuilds his financial resources, Bernard returns to live in the United States. While opening the real estate business, Bernard also becomes an important figure in the fight against the residential segregation system in Los Angeles. The film is based on real persons' real stories. If a person has faith, determination, and is willing to protect his and others' dream and rights, then he is going to succeed. Let us know what you think about this film. See you in next episode.